Are you wanting to really boost your self-esteem, yet you feel like you're lacking it and you're feeling a bit lonely as well? Well, today I'm going to talk about how we can move through feelings of loneliness and feeling that lack of self-esteem to feeling better within ourselves. And if you stay until the end, I've got an extra special point for you then as well. Now, loneliness for me in my life, admittedly, has been a familiar feeling that I've had through various stages of my life. Now, as I had that really bad kind of view or a bad perception that if I was to share like my feelings of how I'm feeling and what I really think of certain things at times in my life as a man, I would have judgment, and I didn't want to. I wanted to keep this kind of identity for many, many times. I wanted to come across as like confident, charismatic. I didn't want to share with people many times in my life, particularly through my 20s, that perhaps when I was struggling, perhaps when I felt vulnerable, perhaps when I didn't feel lovable, when perhaps I didn't feel enough. That happened to me many, many times, and through personal and professional situations, and it made me feel very lonely as a result many times. And me opening out to people is still something I'm working on to this day. I've got a lot better at it over years, and obviously I'm not too close about it because I do run a 5 days a week podcast and share quite a lot on here, and write blogs a little bit as well. It's been something I've had to work on. When I've held back my feelings, not being able to share them with people, it's been a challenge though. And yeah, there are people, admittedly, when I share something with, it's not such a good idea. Not because they're a bad individual who's going to tell everyone or laugh at me. No, I don't. I don't tend to generally, maybe the odd exception, to invite toxic people into my life. So sometimes people, even though they're well intentioned, will just throw their challenges back at you or their own perceptions rather than listen and be there for you. And that sometimes makes it more difficult to share going forward. So there are people, though, who can truly listen. And luckily, I have an incredible coach, a guy who's really, really good at listening and holding space for me as another man as well. Now, when I was younger, I felt very lonely at times, and it really impacted my self-esteem. I was like, if I go and talk to that person, and this particular, we're talking like at school really here, I'd be like, oh, if I go and talk to that person, they don't like me, I'll be rejected, I won't be good enough. And there's quite a lot of feelings of loneliness as a result. Now, over the years, I managed to get a lot more sociable and build up my social confidence and skills through practice and certain, but just taking action. And then I learned about it and learned what I was doing as I got more into the self-esteem and confidence area. And that's why I share certain things with you. And I've got episodes more on social confidence. We won't go too much into it. Now, for me, what is loneliness? I want to share obviously some practical points with you today, on loneliness and how you can move forward, get away from those feelings, and also increase that self-esteem so you've got a better relationship with yourself, because that's what self-esteem is. It's how much you like yourself. And if you really love yourself, you're not going to feel lonely. So now, loneliness for me is about not so much about how many people you've got in your life. It's about your relationship with yourself. Like in my life, I've had lots of people around me. Yeah, I had a really bad relationship with myself and I felt lonely. And I've had times when I've been away, like I've really worked for myself, really connected with myself, and not had hardly anyone around me. Like I've been into like the jungle, like the Amazon jungle. I've done stuff like that. And I felt, you know, not lonely at all. I felt so connected because I had really connected with me. I had built that relationship with me. Now, ask yourself this: how does it feel when you're lonely? Probably not very good. How does it feel when you have low self-esteem? Probably not very good. And it probably impacts on other areas of your life as well, right? Because I've certainly been there, or all areas of your life, most for me, definitely. So let's think about how we can actually make a shift and not keep repeating the same patterns, because if you do the same things, you'll get the same results. So let's go into some practical points now. I'm going to share a few with you and I'm going to divide it. So I want to divide this into internal and external. And what do I mean by that? Internal is the work you do with yourself, just you and you. And external is the work that involves other people that are going to be in your life or not in your life, right? So the first thing I suggest is, and this has worked really well for me, is spending time each day with you as if you're talking to your inner child. I've talked about the inner child before. If you're not familiar, what that means is, imagine you've got like a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid. You can choose the age out of those. And how would you treat them? You would, if you're you're a healthy individual, you would probably love them, you'd nurture them, you'd look after them, right? If you had the choice and you're a healthy individual, you would do that probably, right? Don't want to make any assumptions. That's personally what I would do. Now, you've got to imagine that person is you. It's you at 3, 4, 5 years old. They're innocent, they're young, and you neglect them. What happens? They don't feel very good. They feel upset. They feel hurt. The thing is, when I learned about inner child work is we do that to ourselves all the time. We're like neglecting the 3, 4, 5-year-old version of us by, saying abusive stuff to ourselves. Like I've been guilty of hitting myself like years ago, and that did not feel good when I realized about this inner child work, right? So find time each day to connect to your inner child. Just spend a minimum of 10 minutes with yourself. Putting your hand in your heart always helps for me personally. And then just connecting to your inner child and telling them how much you love them. And actually listening to what their needs are. What do they need more of? Do they need more play? Are they doing something they really don't enjoy? And maybe it's time for a change. So just take time out, because when you can connect with that inner child, it really, really will boost your relationship with yourself and therefore reduce those feelings of loneliness. The second thing I would suggest is just spending at least once a week some time with yourself, doing something for you. Take yourself out on a date, because if you do that, you treat yourself with respect. And you could maybe take yourself to cinema, out for a meal, even run yourself like a nice hot bath. That would not be my top pick. That just came to mind. Or taking yourself to watch a movie in your own home, whatever it is for you. Now, yeah, if you really want to go to the cinema, I would encourage you to push yourself out of the comfort zone and go on your own a little bit, right? Maybe a little bit uncomfortable the first time, but when you do it more, the more comfortable you're going to get. Just take yourself on a date, and it doesn't have to be that. Just pick something where you can commit to taking yourself on a date. And if you really want to make sure you do it, get yourself an accountability partner and tell them you're going to do that and make sure you do it. Okay, external. What can you do with other people so that you don't feel as lonely? Well, the first thing is find something think of something you enjoy. And if you're really like, I'm not feeling so good, I'm not really sure what I enjoy, just pick something that you're curious about. Like maybe you're like, rock climbing has been back in my mind. Maybe I could try it. Well, go out and try rock climbing, find a group. Or maybe you're just a little bit nervous, but curious about going out and doing a bit of public speaking. I'd recommend Toastmasters. Great bunch of people when I've been there and met them. So find something you enjoy, because when you start doing activities that you're enjoying or you're curious about, then you're going to meet people more similar in that environment as well. That's great. Now, I know this day and age, we've got all these like apps, like, I don't know, whatever, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. All right, I'm single at the point of making this and I don't use any of them, but I know we've got all those apps out there to help us like meet other people, because I believe they're not just dating apps, right? They're socializing apps. But for me, like, it's just like a complete random, I'm not completely against them, but it's like completely random. Now, yes, you can get to know each other, but for me personally, going and doing an activity I enjoy is a great way to meet new friends and people to be around. All right. The next one, and the final one for the bonus one, is listen to your body. Listen to your body. What is your body saying about certain people, situations? If you're around people who are like draining your energy and you're not sure why, even though you think they're okay, don't just try and intellectualize it. Actually feel into the body, because if people are draining your energy, you can be around a load of people you just don't feel good about, and it's going to make you feel very lonely. So make sure you start listening to your body more because it gives you signs about who is good and isn't good for you. It's very clever like that. It is the body is pretty much most of the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the mind. You're driven by your head, right? So make sure. So the conscious mind is only a small percentage of us, whilst the subconscious mind and that instinctive part of you is in the body. So listen to it, because if you keep hanging out with people who aren't good for you and don't actually feel great, then you're going to feel lonely as a result as well. Okay, so let me dive into the final bonus point that I've got for you as well. Well, just before I do that, I want to mention, if you want a particular topic you'd like a little bit more guidance on, then just hit the Q&A and answer there what you would like to listen to more of. So my bonus point, this is going to sound so simple that you might not even do it, right? And it's super helpful. And this is what I do for multiple areas of my life, whether it's business or health or whatever. So find someone. You don't even have to meet them. You can study them. There could be someone you observe on like TV, or got great personality on the internet, or just someone who's very comfortable in their own skin. Someone who has appears to have pretty good self-esteem. And you can usually tell that by good energy. They're treating other people well. They smile a lot. Now, of course, sometimes you can miss the odd thing, but just study someone who's, you may know them, may not, who's just like really happy about being themselves. Because if you study them, you'll start picking up certain behaviors, certain ways they think. And if they're a famous person, read their autobiography or maybe listen to some of their interviews. If it's someone you know, just spend a little bit of time with them, have some conversation with them, and then understand what is it they do that makes them feel more comfortable with them and therefore makes them feel less lonely and have high self-esteem. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. You'll improve other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.